Hello and welcome to another video. As we enter into the colder months, December, January, February, it's getting a lot colder. We're saying goodbye to the autumn. We've definitely said goodbye to the summer. I'm not leaving the house without a coat at the moment. So I thought it was only right to recommend you the books that I think are perfect for reading in the colder months, mainly in December probably, because past December, I just see the year starting again, and January, February are just leaning towards spring in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of January, February months because I feel like you're just waiting for the rest of the year to begin. So here's my recommendations for winter, December. This is a mix. So what I've done here, because I've got so many books on my shelf still that I haven't read yet, but I still really want to read and I'm really excited about, is I have paired all my books into genres. And then within that, I'm recommending you one book I've read and one book that's on my TBR. So obviously I don't know what the ones on my TBR are like, but I am a big believer in the fact that you can still recommend books if you think the plot sounds good to somebody, even if you've not read them yourself. Obviously there's limits to that as to the fact that you could be recommending a really, really terrible book, and just because you've not read it yourself, you won't know that. But at the same time, I still think you can think this kind of sounds like someone's type of thing. So I'm going to tell you what these books are about. If you think they're your kind of thing, do pick them up. Obviously they're books that I think will be good or I have enjoyed in the past. So I'm just going to jump right in, break down my genres and show you which books I have selected to recommend. The first genre is going to be contemporary, and the book that I'm putting in for the one I have read is a YA contemporary, and that is Jenny Han's To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Now the reason I'm putting this one in is because I really struggled to pick a contemporary for this category, because I don't tend to read contemporaries in the winter months because I see them as much more summery reads. However, I think that there is a specific focus in either this one or the next book in the series that is around Christmas time, therefore it's getting a mention. If you don't know what this series is about yet, I would be surprised, but if you don't, this is quite a popular YA series now. It's also been made into 2 films at the moment. I assume they're doing the 3rd film. It follows Lara Jean, who is a teenage girl at school with crushes on guys. She's had crushes in the past. She's written them letters. She's put the letters in a box. She's got over the crush until the letters get sent out and all the guys suddenly realise that she quite liked them. So she has to deal with that situation. It's a fun trilogy. I really enjoyed it. I think I read these in the wintertime as well. So for me, they connote that cosy, lovely family feel, because these are all about family as well as what Lara Jean's going through. So I really, really like the series, and I always recommend this when I'm able to recommend contemporaries because it's one of my favourite contemporary series. And for my contemporary that I have not read is an adult contemporary called One Day in December by Josie Silvers. This one is a very new addition to my shelf, so that is particularly why I haven't read it yet, but I do hope to read this one day in December. Do you see what I did there? This is about a woman who is wondering why love just can't be like it is in the movies. One day she's on a bus and she sees a guy outside of the window who she decides is the one. And then her bus pulls away and she doesn't see him anymore. So it's all about her tracking him down, which sounds very bizarre as far as a concept goes, but I'm intrigued, I suppose, because it's a fun contemporary. Lots of people have said this is really good, and sometimes I just fancy a contemporary. Also, it's so floppy. I think I've shown this in 3 videos prior, like in vlogs and stuff, and every time I just demonstrate how floppy it is. So this one is one that I'm hoping to read very, very soon, but this is my contemporary recommendation that I have not yet got to. Then we have got a genre that I've just made up. It's not specifically a genre because technically these are both contemporaries, although maybe they could be considered literary, I don't know. But basically what I have put these into is books that make you think about your life and books that are about change and development and growth. And I thought I would put these in here because obviously as we enter into the new year, we do tend to reflect and we set goals and we think about what we want the following year to be. So these 2 books both do that well. Well, one of them I haven't read, but one of them I know is really, really popular and I just need to read it, and I've had it for ages. So I'm going to show you what they both are. So the one I have read is The Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I read this one back in the summer. It is absolutely minuscule. It's a very quick read. It is about a woman who works in a convenience store and she's worked there for something like 18 years. It's all she knows. It's the life that she's been leading. Lots of people around her find it strange that she's still there, but for her it's just what her life is. And then there's a path that she takes where she starts to see things a little bit differently. I'm not going to give any spoilers for this one, but I really enjoyed this one. This one is translated from Japanese, so it's also a translated fiction, and it talks about obviously Japanese culture, which is really interesting to read about because the contrast between the pressures faced on her from her Japanese culture and Japanese society versus what we would see in Western society is quite different and interesting to read about from her perspective. So I would really, really recommend this one if you're looking for like a life-affirming, different type of book in which you feel like the character is going on a journey somewhere and goes through some changes. And then the book that I haven't read that's of the same ilk is Kate Atkinson's Life After Life. This is the last book I bought with my Waterstones discount when I worked there in 2017. So I really have had this one for a long time, and I don't know why I've not picked it up yet. I have started it many times. I think my mum started it, and I have only ever got a few pages in before not really fancying it. Not that I'm DNFing it at all, because I've not read enough. I just feel like it's the book I want to read, and then I don't end up continuing reading it. So this is a sliding doors type of story in which this girl is, I think it starts on the blurb by saying if 1 year a baby's born. Yeah, so during a snowstorm in England, see snowstorm, winter, a snowstorm in England in 1910, a baby is born and dies before she can take her first breath. During a snowstorm in England in 1910, the same baby is born and lives to tell the tales. What if there were second chances? So this kind of deals with the fact that you can have multiple lives, and how many lives is this person going to have, and how many chances are they going to have, which definitely sounds like something I should be reading. I don't know why I'm not. There's snow on the cover, there's a fox on the cover, it's set in winter, I believe. Why am I not reading this one? This is how my recommendations for a winter read, because of all these things, so I really should just pick this up next month. But this is my recommendation for a book that I haven't read that is like a changing, finding out more about yourself kind of book. I feel like those two are the best in the genres that I'm pleased with the genre I picked for those two, because I feel like at this time of year you really are kind of getting to that stage where like, okay, who do I want to be? Who am I going to be next year? Hopefully next year will be a damn sight better than this one. Then we have got good old fantasy. I could have gone more into each type of fantasy, but I didn't want to throw too many books at you. I think there's 8 books in this recommendation. So this is my fantasy book that I have read, and this is one that I read recently, and that is Garth Nix's The Left-Handed Booksellers of London. I absolutely love this. This is a new release for this year, and it's set in the 80s in London. We follow left-handed and right-handed booksellers. The left-handed booksellers are more into combat. They're fighting. They go to be spies. The right-handed booksellers are more of the intellects. They do the behind-the-scenes work. And basically there's like a world below our own that monsters can come through at, and the left-handed booksellers fight them, and the right-handed booksellers kind of do other methods of fighting them with their brains. This was a really fun book. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of the kind of book I would have read as a kid, not because it's for children, it's an adult fantasy, but more because it had that adventure and that fantastical sense about it. And honestly, I just thought it was great fun. It was silly. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Neil Gaiman book in terms of the randomness of it and the fab characters, so would definitely recommend this one. The reason I'm putting this in a winter TBR is because it's set in London. I consider London to be like somewhere I associate with the winter when we've got all the lovely Christmas decorations up. This isn't particularly set in a certain season, I think actually no it is. I think it's set around September time, August, September, so it's not set in the winter, but for me I just feel like this is a cozy book, and the setting as well reminds me of more of a Christmassy time. So the next book, I feel like I've just put on this list for winter recommendations because of the cover, because in my mind this is a very wintry cover. It is a YA fantasy, and this is the book that I have not yet read, and this is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. This is, from what I can see, it's a fantasy book about a girl whose job is to stand in for the queen or the princess, a member of the royal family, and one day it goes as far as to the fact that she has to be enlisted into a marriage as a replacement, but there's also some kind of magic hunt going on for some kind of item. I don't know too much about this one, and my memory retention for just something I've just read on the blurb is absolutely shocking. Does anyone else have this? I'll read a blurb, I'll think about it, I'll think about how I'm going to say it, and then it just falls out of my brain. I just really poor short-term memory, but excellent long-term memory, so great. So this is my recommendation for a wintry book. I've honestly got absolutely no idea if it is wintry, but the Woven in Moonlight name reminds me of wintry as well. I don't know, obviously the moon comes up all throughout the year, but it's kind of a wintry setting. It's night, it gets dark early. I'm just kind of rambling to make this justified in my brain. It's probably not wintry at all, please let me know in the comments. But this is my wintry recommendation for December/winter. We'll just put this one over here. The final genre I have got is thriller. This is fast becoming my favourite genre. I adore fantasy, and I will always adore fantasy, and obviously books about books are like up here for me. But thrillers, they are so fast-paced and fun to read, and I just absolutely love them. I love the intrigue, I love watching thrillers, I love reading thrillers. So the one that I'm recommending you that I have read is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I read this one really recently. It is about a wedding that happens on a very isolated island. There's 13 guests and 1 dead body, and they have to try and work out who did it and why. And it kind of flips between two different time zones, one being the day before the wedding and the other one being the day of the wedding when someone has been found dead. This one's very intriguing. I really enjoyed the way that the story was woven. The last 100 pages were so intense that I just could not put it down. The chapters got shorter and shorter, so it was so easy to keep reading, and we flip between all these different characters, so we're really getting every single narrative perspective covered. I really liked this one and highly advise it. I liked it so much that I bought another book by the same author, which I've been told I'll really like as well. So this one is going on my winter list. The reason I'm putting this one on the winter list as well, because I had a few thrillers to pick from, is the fact that this island seems to be really grotty and grim and cold. Like, it sounds beautiful, but at the same time it sounds muddy and wet and just ugh, which is a feeling I associate with winter because everything is wet because it's raining constantly and everyone's cold. So the setting in this will make you feel even more like you're in the winter. And the final book that I have put on this list, again, another new edition, and I've spoken about this one in a few videos already. The reason that this one's on the list is not only based on the setting, but also the design of the book, which I'll show you shortly on the sprayed edges, but that is One by One by Ruth Ware. This is a new thriller with snowflakes on the edges sprayed on, so you can see why I've put this in a winter recommendations. This is tenuous. This one is definitely winter setting because it follows some people that are isolated in a log cabin in the snow. There it is on the front. And they get basically snowed in and all the power's cut off, and the blurb insinuates that one of them might become a murderer. I'm not sure. The line at the bottom of it is, would someone resort to murder to get what they want? So I'm intrigued. I've heard really good things about this and this author. I'm excited to get to this one quite soon, I think. So this is definitely one I'm going to be trying to read within the next month or so, I would say. If it snows, I will be picking this up immediately. Although it rarely snows in December in the UK. It's more going to be like March time that we get snow with the wonder of global warming. So this is a book that I have not read and would like to very much. So those are my recommendations. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them. Hopefully you've got something from them. Well, let me know what you would recommend for each genre down below. I would be interested to see, especially thriller, because I just want all the thriller recommendations. Once the bookshops reopen again and we're able to safely go out, I really hope they've got their like really crappy Christmas murder stories recommended, because when I used to work at the bookshop we did a table of the kind of really weird Christmas murder books where they look like old classics. I don't know if they're newer books or older books, but they're all some kind of murdery mystery thing around Christmas time. And I just want one of those. I'm feeling that this season. I just want all the Christmassy books. I'm feeling in the spirit. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, as I said, or subscribe to see more of my face on your feed. Thanks so much for watching. Keep smiling and stay positive.